Okay, yes, can you hear me? Yes. For those who were in Nantes, so it's an update with respect to a talk given at Types in Nantes 3 years ago now. So what is new is the case of degeneracy. We're working slowly about 2 hours a week remotely. I choose to introduce the talk with the well-known problem of semi-simplicial types stated 13 years ago, which is to define a family of types representing family, themselves representing semi-simplicial types. So with a set of, maybe this works. Is that? A set of points, a set of segments between 2 points, and a set of triangles over 3 points connected by 3 segments. And in this problem, there were actually 2 problems in some sense. First, how to describe such type, generically such type for any n. So this is what I call to find a recipe for what I would call indexed presentation of semi-simplicial sets. On the more difficult problem, maybe, which is to define semi-simplicial types without assuming any assumption like type being sets or with UIP, which with a more difficult problem, which if it works would require description of higher dimensional coherences. But the point here is this part. So very basic, something that Thorsten called Grothendieck construction for dummies. I don't know where is Thorsten. So we could be called also the fiber index correspondence. There are many variants. So here, just about H set, a dependent types over some set B is the same as to take a set together with a function which tell in which fibers we are, what is the index of each element. If I do that, yes. So this correspondence can be iterated, and it's in this sense that we are talking here about Presheaves cubical semi-simplicial sets in index way, which is a bit sometimes disturbing because usually along Grothendieck construction, Presheaves are on the index side and fibration on the fiber side. But here we go one step further on the index side. So we see a Presheaf as a stack of fibers. This description of types, dependent types, as the indexed variant of this description, where we iterate the index fiber correspondence. And that was one of the question. Why to do that? To do that seems more complicated than just describing this. One motivation is I believe that this correspondence fiber index, when iterated, is worth to be studied. There are nice things to look at. And also, this suggests models of type theory which are closer to the syntax. For instance, by using this representation, equality is interpreted as a relation, as in type theory, rather than as a span in the fiber way. So now for the rest of the talk, I will enter into more details. First, one point is that we describe semi-simplicial types sets on semi-simplicial cubes on cubical sets. Sorry, at the same in the same way, using a description of the best corresponding best category as freely generated, which from a very simple diagrams, which is close to the parametricity translation of Reynolds, where the arity of the parametricity, if it's unary, it gives augmented semi-simplicial sets. If it's binary, it gives semi-cubical types. I believe it's now folklore, so I learned it from Hugo Munkle and Thorsten again. But I believe it's Mike Schulman said also that it's folklore, so I don't know whether who knows about it? No, it is. Who knew about it? So maybe it's not really folklore yet, but okay. Anyway, there is a uniform description of semi-simplicial on cubical sets just by a parameter, which is an arity in a parametricity translation. And sorry, I'm not right button. And what is new today is adding a degeneracy, one degeneracy, not a lot. And it's fully machine checked in ROC X Roc. So how to describe the best category in a uniform way so that it gives either augmented simplicial or cubical set? You just consider an alphabet with either one or two letters, which is the number of faces you can get in each dimension, and you add one letter star, which tells don't take a face, and then you take a sequence of this. If you do that, so there is a shift by one for a simplicial set. The augmented simplicial sets start one level below, so compared to the geometric description. But if you start from -1, let's say it's the color of a simplicial set, you can describe, for instance, oops, I'm not good. The standard triangle is starting from dimension 1, so it means it has 3 letters, even if it's in dimension 2 from the geometrical perspective. The top face takes no face, so there are 3 stars. And then we can choose to turn one star into a face. So in simplicial set, there is only one face. So we select one of the stars, for instance, this one, and this is, or this one, or this one. These are the faces. And if we select two stars to be faces, we get points. And if we take 0, 0, 0, it's the color, which is invisible on the picture. And for a semi-cubical set, so it's the same, but now you start from 0. So in dimension 2, you have only word of 2 letters, and the top cubes has no selection of face, and then you can select the left or right face on the first dimension, or the right or left face on the, I think I made them, yes, okay, anyway, on the second dimension, and so on. So this is the way we describe uniformly semi-simplicial and semi-cubical sets. So now the complex part, which I will not enter into all details, but we want to describe these families. So what we do is we take a stream of these types. At some level, we depend on the previous types. So it's like a very dependent function. So we represent it as a stream. And each element of the stream is a predicate xi of the previous form, which is a family over something which we call a full frame. So this thing, which is quantified here, is called a full frame. And now the question is to describe this full frame. So in dimension n, a full frame will be made of n layers. For instance, for a cube, we decompose the cubes, the border of a cube, which is a full frame of a cube, by 2 squares, 2 lines which are stretched to fill the space in between, not full square, because this side and this side and this side and this side are already there. So we need only these lines, the square and this line. So this is a line stretched. And then we need to cover top and bottom. So it's a point stretch in dimension 2. And so we have 3 layers, and this goes to this recursive definition. So there are 3 components built together. So it's not so big formula, but this here, here, this thing has to connect to this side and this one to this side. So we have to compute the line here from the square here. So we use a function called restriction of frame, so that we can lay on this. So we need to define a rest of frames, so which follows the same structure recursively, except that at some point we need to use a coherence condition. So we need to define a coherence condition which follow the same structure. So it starts to be more and more cumbersome, but it follows the structure. And I leave a lot of details away because there is many steps of equational reasoning, like proof irrelevance in H set, identification of equality of pairs and pairs of equalities, various groupoid properties of equality. Okay, so this is done. There is a archive. An intern in Paris made this formalization in ALDA, but without the termination. So this can be written readily in ALDA without the check of termination, because the termination is a quite complex argument. This is what takes us most time. So, but we had it. So now adding a degeneracy. So the phases were interpreted by dependencies, but degeneracies are postulated, like in the fibered way. So we just say that we need a degeneracy from y0 to y1, so represent it as a function. Once we know h0 and x1, we had a degeneracy from h0 to x1. At the next level, we have a degeneracy from h1 to h2, but h1 has dependency, so we have to quantify over the border of the term in h1. And oh surprise, what we call degeneracy in semi-simplicial sets and degeneracy in semi-cubical sets are not the same when we use this correspondence, which give, depending on the rarity, either semi-simplicial or semi-cubical. The degeneracy we added correspond to a parameter in the cubical case, it's a standard cubical degeneracy, but in the unary case, it's like a parametric degeneracy, the same as we found in parametric type theory, but it's different from the simplicial degeneracy, which, when we look at it, it's actually the unary version of connection in cubical type theory. So this explains the difference. This is a degeneracy in simplicial and the way it is when it is parametric. In particular, when it's parametric, for any color in the dimension -1, there is a distinguished point associated, which is not the case, of course, for simplicial sets. Okay, so this is almost the end. So it starts to be methodical. So a lot of dependency, but we build the stream of all this degeneracy with their types. So we have the degeneracy have an associated function on the border of cells, which is called a ref full frame, which have this type. And of course, at some time, we need also coherence conditions, which are proved mutually. And I think that's it.
Do you have any questions for Torsten? Thank you. That's very interesting. Why is there only one degeneracy? I mean, usually there are several, right?
Because one is it's one in the last dimension. So in the construction is very simple. It's just raising. We have layers, so it's just raising one layer up. If we wanted the other degeneracies, we would have to have some kind of permutation. So to have one degeneracy at some time, moving the layer of the other dimension, which is possible, but we didn't do it. Another suggestion also, we talked about it yesterday, would be to have an operator to extend the last degeneracy in the last direction into by adding functorially a new dimension, and we would have also several degeneracies. But this needs a special construction. I think about it a bit, and it would need a special construction for extending an existing degeneracies to a higher dimension and to prove a coherence condition between them and so on.
Okay.
But basically, it's for simplicity at the current time as a proof of concept.